Hi, this is Allan McKay. Welcome to episode 96. I'm speaking with Niels Prayer, a motion graphics designer and director who's worked on Minions, RoboCop, and dozens of other really cool projects. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Allan McKay podcast. Allan is an Emmy Award-winning visual effects artist and mentor to many leading industry experts. Listen in as Allan talks with other industry leaders in film, video games, and visual effects about their experience, lessons, and methodology. Allan will teach you pivotal advice to fast-track your career, better your skills, and reach your ultimate dream job. Check out the latest episodes on allanmckay.com.
All right, so how's it going? I'm really excited about this episode. This is going to be really cool. I'm speaking with a buddy of mine, Niels Prayer. We were both speaking at the IA-Mag Masterclass earlier this year, which was a lot of fun. And Niels done some workshops for CG Society, other places, does a lot of really cool motion graphics, animation, and effects. And he's also a director as well. And he's worked for Illumination Mac Guff, the guys who do Minions and other cool projects, as well as for Framestore and RoboCop, a couple other really cool projects too. So I think this one's going to be really cool. At the same time, I'm going to make this quick. I am drowning in work at the moment, so which is a good thing. But yeah, Portland at the moment, which is kind of interesting, is actually burning down. It's pretty sad at the moment because it's such a green, lush environment, and it's really weird. I was just at the Multnomah Falls, which is kind of the iconic go-to waterfall place. I was there Sunday, and then Monday, there's a massive fire started, and I think it's up to like 400,000 acres have been burning down in that area. So in a way, I'm grateful that I got to visit there the day before it all happened. But at the same time, it's a real tragedy that at the moment Portland is been having major bushfires, and like my whole backyard, there's like ash in the air, ash everywhere. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, so that's kind of the big thing that I've been experiencing the past couple of days. And yeah, I mean, for me, the big thing coming up is I got some really cool episodes around the podcast, a lot of solo ones, which I know I've been keen to do for quite a while. As much as I enjoy interviewing a lot of really talented artists and studios and software companies, I also enjoy really designing some episodes that are to do with certain problematic situations that we'll run into in our career. And I've got some really strong, really effective ones coming up that I'm excited about, so they'll be coming out soon. But for the time being, I want to dive right into this episode. So I want to thank Niels Prayer again for taking time out to do this episode. Just quickly, if you want to check out the show notes, you can go to allanmckay.com/96 for episode 96. And I've got another really cool episode coming up next time, and that's going to be with Nerdstrong, which is a gym in Los Angeles. And yeah, this is going to be a really fun one. Basically, it's a gym built for nerds. In other words, it's very geeky. They'll play like Mario Kart games in real life, and everyone dresses in kind of cosplay while they work out. It's kind of nuts. So like one of my team was the one who discovered this, and at the time I didn't quite get it. I wasn't quite sure until I did the episode. I'm like, wow, this sounds insane. And I think it's really cool having these kind of themed gyms where people can work out, not be intimidated, and be amongst other people, have those commonalities, and be able to do things that kind of motivate them or speak to them. Maybe you're not someone who wants to go to the gym and get ripped at Golds or something. And so to actually find a place that you actually feel like you fit in, rather than being intimidated, I think is very important. I used to occasionally go to Gold's Gym in Venice, where Arnie works out back in the day. It still does, actually. And yeah, that place is insane. Like, it's just a whole other lifestyle there than any other gym. And I feel like every different place, you kind of want to find something that is your world, that you don't feel like you're entering someone else's environment. And I think for a lot of people, especially in fitness, it's something that not all of us can relate to, and having an environment just for a lot of us who may want to have fun and be goofy and enjoy all of that, I think is really cool. So That episode is going to be up next, and I'm really looking forward to that one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, I'd love if a lot more people kind of embrace that idea and start kind of doing different flavors of their gyms, their things. If I could do shots of tequila while I'm working out, I don't know, maybe that might be my calling. All right, so let's get into this episode with Niels Prayer. Okay, just quickly, one of the biggest problems that we face as artists is figuring out how much we're worth. Typically, the situation is that we go into job interviews and we're asked how much we're going to charge. We either shoot ourselves in the foot by saying that we charge less than we're worth, so that way we get the gig, and indirectly end up leaving tens of thousands of dollars accumulatively over time on the table, rather than actually asking what we should be charging. At the same time, you don't want to alienate your employers by asking for too much and leaving yourself out in the cold. So what I've done is I put together a website, check it out, www.vfxrates.com, and this is a chance for you to be able to put in your experience, your discipline, the location you're working, all the good things that will give you a fairly accurate idea of what you and everyone else should be charging in your discipline. This is something that I'm going to continue to build and flesh out over time, but the key thing is actually that I don't want to just showcase how much you should be worth, but also show you and hand you the tools to grow beyond that and to learn to negotiate better, to learn to ask for the right amount of money in the right way. There's lots of additional tools and information I want to hand over to you. Everything's free. Check it out, vfxrates.com. Put in your information and you'll instantly get notified of how much money you should be charging per hour as a VFX artist. vfxrates.com. Do you want to give a bit of a quick introduction about who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So thank you very much, because I'm very honored to do that with you. That's something really special for me, because you are just a superstar. So yeah, I'm just really happy to make that with you. That's great. Yes. So I'm just a little director for now. I'm in freelance. I used to be FXTG by the past. I've worked at Framestore, Illumination Mac Guff, on Minions, something like that. Some long feature film. 3 years ago, I started working at Framestore. And after that, I removed back to France, and I've worked almost 1 year actually at Illumination Mac Guff. And just after that, I've been FX supervisor for a little company called Supermonks here in Paris. We've done some cartoon works with just some really cool commercials. And I've been started to create my own imagery and create some personal projects over there. And one day I received some calls to create something like that, but for living. So I've decided to move on and to be a freelancer. And now I'm just freelancing between studios, and I'm trying to make some short movies when I got time, and produce a lot of content every day. I don't know, but yeah, that's my life now. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with what I have.
That's so cool. I was just curious, like, how did you get started out in the very beginning of your career?
I've just been graduated from George Melia School here in Paris too, and I've won an internship actually at Framestore, because I've just posted my demo reel on their website for challenge. And just after that, they called me to work on RoboCop. So just right after my school, I've been graduated on June, and the 1st of July I've been just at Framestore London. So yeah, that's how I'm beginning in that industry. So yeah, and I've met a lot of great and talented people and artists, and I've discovered all my main software I'm using right now at Framestore. So yeah, that's a really nice thing, and I'm pretty lucky actually. So yeah.
No, it's really cool, and yeah, I love the diversity in what you've been doing. There's so much very different work in there, and I think that's really cool. I was curious though, like, what's probably your most proudest project to date?
Oh, You mean my personal projects or just personal project
all,
I've done for a living or?
all of them, really. I mean, whatever you find to be ones that, in particular you found a lot of fulfillment, whether it was the most challenging or ones that you just look back on the most fondest out of all of them, whether they are personal or with other people.
Yeah, I think it's actually it's my not my latest, but just the movie just before that, Marvelous Machines I've done for the Houdini side effects challenge, because I think it's my most challenging movie, because it's really new for me to create and to direct things actually, and it's really complicated to how to write a story and how to direct a story actually, with implementing a lot of symbolism in my framing, my composition, and yeah, I think it's challenging to create, just to start from an idea and to develop a whole project by myself. And I'm learning a lot actually right now doing things like that. And yes, I think I'm very proud about this project, even if it's not my most popular project. But yes, I'm pretty proud about this one. Yeah, I think.
I'm actually watching through it right now. But that's really cool. And like, I agree. I mean, in the past 2 years, I've started to kind of spend a lot of time myself just kind of experimenting and doing things that I want to do rather than doing things that are in the script or, that we're hired to do. And I think that in a way is such a great way to have a lot of growth, especially as you get older, because I think that it's so powerful to work with a big team of people and to grow that way. But then later, I feel like having some time for your own passions allows you to kind of fill in the gaps with things that you mightn't know personally or things that you want to explore. And and just kind of having the foresight to take concepts that are your own and take them all the way through to completion, to a point where other people can see them. So that's cool. And like when you started on Marvelous Machines, like, did you have in mind like a concept of what you wanted? Like, how did you kind of begin the process of creating it? Because obviously it's pretty diverse. There's so many different shots and visuals in here.
I wanted to talk about for a long time ago about artificial intelligence, and when I saw the contest on side effects with the title Marvelous Machines, I said to myself, wow, just an amazing title, I think. And I developed an idea around that two keywords, and I started to writing a script about that. And I wanted to explore the idea where a machine can be actually marvelous, and I wanted to talk about consciousness and how is it to be a machine with an almost a human consciousness, and I think it is the part of script and scenario, I think. But the main idea was to create a script talking about machine thinking about creating a better one. So that's the main concept, and that was the start about this project. And for the visual, actually, I wanted to play with a very important symbolism, and I wanted to give some messages within the framing and the composition in each shot. I don't know.
No, I think it's great. I mean, yeah, like I said, there's so much in there, and you're right. Like by the way you've approached it, there is a lot. There's definitely like that backstory to it. Like how long did it take you from start to finish to do a project like this?
I've done that on my spare time, and maybe 1.5 months, I think, something like that. And from just only for the production process, but all the storyboards and the intentions has been done maybe 1.5 months, but just before the production. I wanted to make something really special and really well done this time, because sometimes I'm just starting with creating some shots, and later I'm adding some some messages and some intention in the final frames. But this time I wanted to create an actual movie and building frames on my ideas and my will. So yeah, that was pretty hard, but yeah, I think it's working. I
Cool.
think, yeah.
No, I love it. It's really awesome. I was kind of curious about that. Like, your background, you initially started out in effects, and I
Yeah.
guess, you've kind of made many transitions throughout that time from then getting to motion graphics and then more into directing as well as creative direction. Like for you, how did you make the transition, or when did you kind of make the decision that you wanted to switch? Because usually effects to motion graphics isn't very common. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, so why did you decide to do that, and how did it kind of happen?
I've done once. It's pretty simple actually. Every day I'm just I'm testing things on my lunch break, and someday I've just tested to create really abstract things just in Houdini. Go from just a simple sphere or something like that, and create the most abstract thing I could. And I've done that a lot of times. And one day I just realized I can really make projects and things with this kind of thing. So I've started to assemble some shots with that and put music onto it and sounds. And I just realized, oh yes, I can create and telling stories with just really abstract things. So yeah, I think that's the transition, and I started to make more things like that, and less and less casual ethics. I wanted to say, but and even now I'm not doing really some smokes or explosions or something like that. I'm
You're creating, not destroying.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. If okay. If you want, yeah, go.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool. Like with the tools you use. I mean, have you always been? I think you're Houdini and After Effects for like those are your go-to tools, right?
Yep.
Cool. Are there any other tools you typically use for what you develop?
For some of my images, I'm using Vue. Because to create really epic landscapes and great atmospheric mood, and I think that's, or maybe a bit of Nuke when I need some camera tracking and really deep compositing or something like that. But my main tools are Houdini and After Effects.
That's awesome. And I was kind of curious because I mean, obviously the work you do is quite diverse. Like when you're learning or figuring out new techniques, like do you just spend a lot of time just experimenting to see like, hey, that could be something I could use down the line, or are you constantly learning? Like, what's your process typically to figure things out?
Yeah, I think I'm testing things every day when I can, and I'm saving everything. So I think we always need some really weird tests in production. So yeah, I have a lot of hard drive full of really weird things done inside the Houdini, and even in After Effects or some typography things or something like that. And yeah, I'm keeping everything just in case. And yeah, sometimes I really want to tell stories, but sometimes I just want to open the software, put a sphere, and just go on with some particular thing, trades, I don't know. So yeah.
Cool. And how do you usually, like, again, I'm always curious about your process because it is so different. Like, how do you usually, let's say for more your abstract work, like how would you typically approach the shot in the beginning? Do you just kind of decide, okay, I'm going to start with intention when I'm working on a shot, or do you just kind of let it grow into whatever it becomes?
It really depends, actually. Yeah, when I have my intention, I have a storyboard. Each time I'm starting that, I want to have a really precise idea because I want to tell something to people. So I have already my framing and in my head, of course, and with my I know what texture I will use and the light and everything. But when I'm doing my lunch break images, something about 30 minutes or 1 hour maximum, I'm starting almost of the time with a sphere or a box or something like that, or just a grid, and I'm just orienting the camera or something like that, and put a light, and I saw maybe a shadow or something. I don't really know, but yeah, and I'm starting with by scattering some points, and just copying some sphere on it, and just adding some value scale, and it just do that a couple of times and implement a little vex thing to have some trails between everything. So sometimes it's pretty weird, but I want to make an image in 30 minutes. So I'm just in a really hurry, and things have to go really fast and to be really intuitive, and almost I think I'm a pretty bad drawer actually, and I'm using Houdini just to make sketches and to make draw things to have my to be really confident, I think, in my software, and it's pretty much like drawing for me, I think.
That's cool, and you're right though. I mean, you don't need to be an amazing artist sketching all the time to it's more about for you either to visually figure something out. It can be a process where you're kind of figuring out what you want to do by putting it down on paper. And I'm the same way, where I don't try and make art for other people. I'm going through the process. I'm problem solving in my head by using pen and paper, because when you get onto a computer, that's when it becomes much more slow and complicated, and it's harder to try things out. And whereas on paper, you can quickly sketch something out and see if it's going to work, and then you say, okay, great, now I got the idea of what I want. I can go and replicate that on the computer and get that process to happen. So I think that's cool. I think it's really awesome. And for you, what do you think's the most important part of your process? Do you think that the lighting is the most important, or the effects, or compositing? Where do you think that the most critical part is?
I think it's the overall mood, actually. Because I'm a musician, first I think we need to feel something on images, just like if we heard a sound or a music. So I'm pretty I don't know, but I think it's the most important part of creating an image and or a shot, or even a whole movie. But it's the mood and how people can feel something with my work.
That's really cool. And I forgot that you have a background as a musician, and it's interesting because I know a lot of effects people, not a lot, but there's certain people that I've met who've come from either studying classical music or studying music, where they've sworn that that's become one of the most critical parts of allowing them to grow as an artist, because they're able to see things a bit more differently from learning to write and read music. And I don't know, for you, is that something that you've found as well, that you can apply a lot of how you learned to compose music, let's say, to how you approach a lot of your 3D work?
I think yes. I have also a classical background, so I think when I've started to learn 3D and CGI, I've done the same approach like I've done with music. It's just another language, and we are creating something to tell things to people. So even if we put a sphere with just a black background, we are telling something to people. So we have to be really careful with what we are putting in our frames. And I think it's really something really important to see and to pay attention to details on what we are giving to an audience. Just like in music, if we play the guitar and adding some bass and the drums and something like that. So and in CGI it's pretty much the same approach, because we are layering things with the layout, animation, I don't know, compositing and FX and something like that. So yeah, it's pretty the same thing for me. I think for me it's the same approach. It's two languages, and we have to layer things, and we have to be careful to what we are putting in our frames.
That's cool. And what about like reference, things like that? Like, do you rely a lot on visual reference? Do you search the web a lot?
Yeah.
Are there any good resources you recommend for like how you go about finding things that, you know, kind of really speak to you?
I'm spending a lot of time on ArtStation, and I'm following very great and talented artists. And obviously, and of course, movies and great movies are my main source of inspiration. And such as I'm a pretty big fan of Terrence Malick films and the photography of Emmanuel Lubezki. So yeah, I think that's the main my main inspiration in my lighting, in my mood, how they implement and they film just the nature with the human, and that's something really, really crazy. And when just a few years ago, I've discovered a lot of Patrick Clare's and Ashthorpe's work, and I just got insane because how they can create some really powerful pieces just on a really, really short amount of time, maybe some 2 or 3 minutes for an opening title, just such as the Patrick Clare Westworld, something like that. And when I saw that, I was just, oh my god, we can create really, really short movies with such a great impact, and with. So I was just really crazy about that, and even now I think that's something I wanted to create. Not even maybe not opening credits or something like that, but maybe short things with a really powerful impact on an audience.
Yeah.
So I'm working a lot to create that.
And that's one thing. Like looking at all the stuff that you've been doing, as well as even just you mentioning, how much you kind of still devote to working on your own personal stuff. Like Ash is definitely the same way. He's insane. Like he's he's very dedicated. Like it's very hard for him to. How do I word this? I basically, whenever I talk to Ash, it's always like, it's go. He's able to carve out time, but he's like, okay, I'm going to be doing this, but I got 45 minutes to go jiu-jitsu, and then I'm going to go take the daughter out here or do this. And I don't know how I don't know how he manages to do all the personal work on top of all the other work he's doing. So he's crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, you mentioned that too, that like you might spend your lunch break, working on a piece or something, and obviously having that time constraint too, that I've only got 45 minutes or an hour to knock something out. Like do you find that for you it's more you're creating that time for yourself, and I think most people don't do that. Everyone complains they don't have enough time to do things, whereas they go to lunch with their buddies and they sit back and talk about how someone at their office sucks or whatever it is, and instead they could be spending that 1 hour doing as you were doing, like all these amazing pieces. And even having that time constraint in a way, I think helps you focus a lot more as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's just a question of organization and scheduling things. Not complicated as Ash is doing, but when I'm at work in a studio, I just spend my lunch break just in front of my computer. So let's just create something. So that's something I want. But when I'm at home, I can do many things at the same time. Maybe when I'm doing some personal projects, I'm launching just a rendering process with complicated images or with a lot of samples in my rendering, just to have enough time to do something else. So it can be just cooking with my wife, or just playing piano, or just composing the actual soundtrack for the same project. So I want to just done a lot of things just in the same time, and just like that, I can have I can have a life next to my projects, next to my job, and I think that's pretty much it. But just scheduling things. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right. Like, and that's the thing too is if you start learning to schedule and really rely on that. For me, it's like if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't get done. And I hate it sometimes, but like even with social things with my friends or my fiance, I'm still like, okay, the reason I missed this was because it wasn't in my calendar. So, if it's not in there, it completely gets skipped over. But because you do that, it means that you can see this bird's eye view of, your entire week, and, you can start to learn where you can put more time in. And for some people, if you don't have time, it might mean just getting up an hour early, and then you've got an extra 7 hours a week to work on the things that you need to get done. So it's very easy to create time when you can visually see how your time's being allocated.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Totally
agree,
So you do also a lot of training, which is awesome. You got the CG Society course, and you got the Scatter tutorials as well. I love giving back, and that's always been a big thing for me, was always to share stuff, especially when at least many years ago, but like no one really had figured out fire or clouds or certain things. And so for me, whenever I figured something out, I'd want to share it with others, and that way they don't have to waste the time that I would doing that stuff. But I don't know, for you, like what's your experience been with that, and what are some of the good resources that you've created to help others with training?
I don't know if I help someone, but sharing, I think, is really a really important thing, because we are learning a lot of things when you are sharing with people, and just to discuss about things, just to discuss about approaches on works and or images, you are able to take some distance and to see things on another way. And I think I've learned a lot creating my workshop on CG Society, because we have a live part 2 with some conference too. So I was able to share things directly with my students, and that was really a really great experience. But it takes a lot of time to create all the content, and I was just at the end, I was just exhausted and very, very, very tired, because I had my main job and my scatter tutorials and my CG Society and my personal project at the same time, and my life and everything. So this time, I think my wife was really comprehensive and really, really nice with me with that.
That's definitely the hard part, is like balancing, your personal life, your love life, and then, all the work as well, which we're always passionate about. That's really cool. And what's the talk that you're going to be giving in Paris this year?
I think I'm just going to talk at the It's Art Mag masterclass. It will be my first time actually to give a conference like that, and I don't know really what I will talk about, but I think I'm pretty excited to talk at this event, and I think I'm very, very lucky, because at the beginning I was just involved to create the introduction. But the little opening for the event. But just after that, I received a call from Patrice and from SideFX just to know if I wanted to be the 21st speaker. So
cool.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. There's going to be so many cool speakers this year. So Ash will be there. Yeah. You guys can, show off who works harder. But it's going to be really cool. There's a lot of good stuff. It's going to be in March though, which is the only thing I'm bummed about, because it's always rainy, it seems, over there.
But
at least you don't have to travel far. It's like down the street.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I don't know, like a couple of things I figured I'd just touch base on, but like for you, like when you were working on Minions, what was this type of work that you were doing for that?
I mean, I've done pretty much smokes, I think. Only smokes and some explosions or something like that, but really, really basic things, because when you are working on that type of features, it's animation first. So yeah, you have to create FX and effects, of course, but we still need to see firstly the animation. So yeah, it's pretty much that. I think a lot of smokes I remembered. Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what's your preference? Do you prefer to work on like larger projects, like going to Illumination, work with those guys, or do you find doing more smaller teams and shorter period projects? Like, which one's more your preference?
I prefer both, but yeah, when you are working in a big team with really talented guy, it's just amazing because you are learning a lot of things, and you are able to meet a lot of great talented artists, really, and it was just an amazing experience for me. I've learned a lot from very great guy, but yeah, I think I preferred to work on a really small team with maybe 5 or 6 guys, I think, something like that. Yeah, to have, because the work obviously become really with a lot of diversity, and you can not create only an FX, but you are able to create an entire shot, and that's something
cool.
I prefer. Yeah, and working in motion design, motion graphics, and commercial just bring that. So yeah, I think I prefer to work with smaller project and smaller team for now, but maybe in a couple of years I will go again in long feature films. I don't know, I think. So yeah.
Cool. And what about at Framestore? What were you doing there? You work on RoboCop, or were there other projects too?
No, I've just worked on RoboCop because after that I had to go back to France. So that was just an amazing experience because I've learned almost everything about Houdini and about how we can create effects in actual productions. So and when you are an intern at Framestore, there is a mentorship program, and so a lead or a supervisor just take care of you, and it's really amazing because it can give you a feedback and on your work really quickly, and you are not lost in the big industry. So yes, I think that was a really great thing for me.
Yeah, no, like I think it's really cool. I found that too. Like if you have direct access to someone who's able to kind of share a lot of their experiences and how they do things is really critical. I've got a few of my students in my mentorship. They're also doing the Framestore internship.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so they've gotten a lot of great experiences out of that as well. That's cool. And I'm just curious, like for you, is there any like big resources that you recommend for people to learn, or ways to figure things out in terms of effects or training, figuring out this kind of stuff that you do? Obviously you've got your courses, which I'll leave in the show notes as well.
Yeah, but I think there is much more than just my little things I've done. Maybe for effects they can just follow your tracks and do your tutorials or your workshops, of course. But I don't really know how type of advices or of resources I can tell, but maybe experiment things always, every day, just and have fun with their tools, with their subjects, with anything. We really need to have fun to understand what we are creating and what we're developing here, because we are able to see when people have fun when we are looking at a project or a frame or something like that, and when people don't have fun. So I think it's really important to experiment and have fun with our tools.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice, actually, is that, both to experiment a lot and just try things out, but at the same time, like, have fun with it. And I think that's the great thing, is if it's not for clients, then you get a chance to really experiment and go in the direction that you want, rather than it being someone else's vision, that you're essentially going in there and clocking in and trying to do the work for them. So yeah, I think that's really good. And yeah, I figure we'll try and keep this fairly short. But is there any I guess like what would be the website to drive everyone to find out more about you?
I think that's my personal website, www.nielsprayer.com. I think there is everything here. Yes, my stills frame, all my personal projects, and of course my musics, if someone cares. So yeah, I think that's here. And of course I'm on ArtStation, and yes, that's all actually.
Awesome, man. That's so great. And yeah, I appreciate you doing this, man. It's been a lot of fun getting to talk. And
yeah, thank you very much.
Cool. And I know when we get to Paris, we'll have some beers and catch up.
Of course, yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so again, I want to thank Niels for taking the time out to do this. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to get in contact with Niels or check out his website, or read the show notes, we've got amazing notes, really in depth, that will cover a lot. I recommend going to allanmckay.com/96. Check out the show notes there. Like I said, next episode, I'm going to be interviewing the owner and founder of Nerdstrong Gym in Los Angeles. And that's going to be a blast to get into as well. And new website is coming finally. I'm putting it out there as an accountability for myself, because if I'm saying it, now it's got to be done. But I've been on this massive journey. Anyone around me knows I've been struggling with hiring all these different firms for the last 3 years, trying to get what I want done. And it's just been a dismal failure the whole time. And yeah, I'm committed to getting this done, because I feel like there's so much content I specifically want to put out that I've been having to hold off until I have a new website, because ever since I designed the one that's currently on my site, I've just kind of never wanted to go there apart from to publish podcast episodes. And there's so many videos, so much content I'm going to be putting out very soon that I need this to be up and running. So that being said, that's my big goal at the moment, on top of Game of Thrones and a few other big things that are happening at the moment. And yeah, so I'm excited about that. And yeah, lots of solo episodes coming up very soon. I want to try and also maybe do something special for episode 100. The clock's ticking down, so I got to make up my mind soon about what that might be, but we'll see what we can do. So in the meantime, kick some butt, stay motivated, constantly be out of your comfort zone, doing new things and challenging yourself, and day to day raising the bar. I'll be back next episode, and until then, rock on.